I realized rather than just marketing direct to my sphere, that if I were to find a key strategic referral partner, what I call an upstream partner, if I could get upstream to where my clients were at before they needed me and add big value to that strategic partner, that could open the door to lots of referrals to me.
Welcome to Be Bold Branding, where we discuss the power of differentiating yourself through your own unique story and standout personal brand.
How can you build a massive referral business with the right contacts? In other words, instead of having 500 people you maintain relationships with, what if you only needed 50 or even 15? Well, today's guest is the international best-selling author of the Upstream Model. He is a great friend of ours. His name is Justin Stoddart. He is the founder of Think Bigger Real Estate and CEO of Pro Insight.
Welcome back to Be Bold Branding, Justin.
So good to be back. Anytime I get a chance to spend some time with you guys, it's a good day.
Oh, thank you.
Back at you, my friend. Back at you.
Justin's been a friend for many years now, and we've referred things back and forth between our companies, and he's spoke at my Real Estate Think conference, and many of my agents have been through his program, so it's always good to see you. And off camera, we were all just sort of catching up because sometimes we look up and it's been months and months and months since you've
Sadly,
but that is the way life goes. So we're glad that you're back with us now and going to share some insight about something not only you're passionate about, but you're very, very good at. So yeah, you say that most professionals spend too much time trying to get their next deal. And as a result, they don't even have time to properly serve the clients that they have. Is that the best place for us to kick off today?
I think that's a great place to kick off. In fact, I'd even add that all too often we spend time trying to put food on the dinner table, yet we're absent from that dinner table to actually enjoy it with the people who we love the most. So it's even a bigger problem, right, than not having time with our clients, but it's not having time for the people that we love the most. So yeah, this problem is systemic on many levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sure is. So how do you fix that? Let's start just from the basal standpoint, right? Of, okay, we spend too much time trying to get that next client. And it was kind of like, what we said in the beginning of this episode. It's about the difference between trying to work with too many different people and focusing on the right people. And I think that's pretty much, because we've read the book, we've been part of your inner circle for a while. That's what Upstream Model is all about. Like, take that platform and run with it for a minute.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, I think people that are listening to this, if you're our kind of people, right, you prefer a warm referral over a cold lead. And so we ask ourselves a question like, perfect, like, let's just go get warm referrals all day long. The challenge is that warm referrals take time because they come from warm relationships. And let's be honest, it's hard to build a really good warm relationship if you don't actually commit time to it. And so we all run out of time. And that becomes the predicament then that many agents find themselves in. They have a sphere, they have a client list, they want to continue to get referrals just from that. They love to work by referral only. The challenge is their goals are up here and their warm referrals turn off here, which then, causes them to think, do I just settle for less and just lower my goals? Well, people like you and I, the people that we serve and love, no, we're ambitious. We have big goals. So it's like, okay, then what do I do? Then I guess I've got to supplement those warm referrals with cold leads. There's nothing against cold leads other than the fact that we just prefer warm referrals. And cold leads take there's a lot more sorting. It's kind of like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's in there. We're going to go through a lot of people to find it. And so what I really came to realize when I was a high-end home builder, land developer, is that sure, I could market to my existing warm market sphere, and that would give me a certain number of referrals. And over time, absolutely, I could build that sphere, build that sphere, build that sphere. But what if I wanted to build it faster? What if I wanted to get warm referrals faster than just over the course of a decade or 5 years, building out this organic, larger and larger sphere? I realized as a home builder that rather than just marketing direct to my sphere, that if I were to find a key strategic referral partner, what I call an upstream partner, for those that have read the book or end up reading the book, I realized that where everybody was hanging out was down marketing to the consumer. And if I could get upstream to where my clients were at before they needed me, and add big value to that strategic partner. In my case, early on, it was an architect. If I could add big value to that architect could open the door to lots of referrals to me. So now I'm still working warm market. I'm still working by referral, but I just now have a lot more of them because I've been more selective about who I'm adding value to. It's not just my sphere, but I've really found key people who are situated just upstream from the real estate transaction or from the building transaction in my previous business. And so just that concept of, yes, you can still work by referral. Yes, you can still really invest in relationships and not have surface level, but deep relationships. You just get to be more selective about with whom you have those, which then opens the door for you to have more referrals come from them.
Mm-hmm. And that model works. I can testify that that model works, first off, which is really good. And it is, because time is so limited, it does make so much sense that if you find that CPA or that financial advisor, let's stick to real estate, right? Or financial advisor or something like that, where people are going to be taking the money to purchase that real estate, or even be instructed with the right financial advisor that you need to have some real estate in your portfolio, then you want to be that real estate agent, that mortgage broker that has that connection to that and works that connection with that financial advisor, and then it's a shoe-in of who will get the work. I can think of like probate attorneys and is another one, and even closing attorneys I would think would be another one that real estate agents specifically could be going after.
No doubt. Attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors, property managers, insurance brokers, those kind of create, what we call like the kind of the board almost. Like if you were to create a board of directors of people who could really be valuable to each other, right? Those people all kind of sit at that board, and a lender, right, would be the other one, maybe even a private banker. But there's some key professionals who have a lot of trust with their clients because they're dealing with that client's assets, right? Asset-based professionals. And because of the nature of that relationship, when a referral is given by one of those professionals, it goes a long way. The client listens very differently than just reading a review on Yelp, right?
Right.
Or getting a lead from, some online service. This is their professional who they've entrusted entirely with their financial situation. When they recommend, it's yours to lose, right?
Sure. And I would think that also three of us being in that space of the internet portals and the podcasting and the e-commerce, that it works just as well. I know with BrandFace, Connie can speak better than me, but our strategic partnerships, including with you, have been very valuable to us getting those warm leads to people because A, they've been through our program and they understand the in-depth way that personal branding can affect their life. And B, they have an ancillary business that is touching another part of that person's need in business, right? We just actually talked to somebody who does business leadership coaching, perfect alignment for what we do.
Yeah.
So even coaches and authors, they need to be thinking this way.
Absolutely. I mean, businesses that succeed at the highest levels do it in most cases, number one, because they have their operations systems dialed. When it comes to getting new business, they get the furthest amount of traction with the least amount of effort and resources expended. And when you can find somebody whose client experience or another professional who just neighbors your industry, who through the course of them serving their client, what you do comes up in conversation or could come up in conversation easily, that is a perfect strategic referral partner. It's like, what is my client dealing with right before they need me? Who are the professionals that are already in relationship with right before they meet me or need me? You start to identify who those people are, and there's a natural flow that gets really easy for that strategic partner to refer you and to bring you into that conversation.
Yeah. And, to the point of trying to do too many things and work with too many people. I mean, the podcast we just got off of, I believe she said 94% of business owners, of executives are stressed, right?
It was 94 were stressed and 65 were thinking of quitting.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it was like staggering.
It was super high. And I understand that, right? Because in this world of now we have this portal through the internet that, of course, it's been around for, more than a couple of decades now.
Most since Al Gore.
Since Al Gore. So we think we have a portal to the world, right? Well, we do and we don't, right? Because we all know that we're limited in the people that we can reach out to, even this way. But let's just assume that we could keep up with 500 people in a given month. That's a lot of people. 100 people is a lot of people to keep up with. Well, what if we had like 7 or 8 strategic partners that said, hey, let's drink from the head of the stream together. I'll refer people to you. You refer people to me. And in BrandFace, that's what we've done. We spent so much money and wasted so much money in our early years on trying to generate some cold traffic, and it worked to a degree. We always, made a little bit more than we spent. And as time goes by, they get slicker and slicker. And now you're making like, $1.50 to every dollar you spend. But we realized very quickly that the right partners and aligning with those right partners was everything. Not only was it about reputation, but it was about efficiency and what was good for the client, because you align with the right partners and you can send them in a right direction where that client is going to be taken care of the way you would do it. And that, I think, for me, speaking specifically, has been the hardest thing to learn, because you don't always know until you go through steps with certain clients whether they're going to take care of them the way that you would. And that's the learning part of it all. Doing it the way that Justin teaches you to do it, that's a given. Yeah. Like, you have to do it that way, unless you just wake up in the morning and think, how can I waste some time and money today? If you're doing that, you can turn down the volume right now and unplug your earbuds, right? But if you're the opposite, then you need to turn it up, as we used to say in the radio world, crank it up and rip the knob off, right? Because to me, having done this, having been an entrepreneur for a very long time, and Michael even longer than I have, this is the only way to do it. This is the way that preserves your reputation. It's the way that allows you to be home with your family for those very important dinners.
It doesn't clog that calendar. It doesn't. And actually, just even since last we spoke, we got to tell you about our new revelation that goes towards this, and it sort of naturally forced us to really focus on the upstream model. Is we decided, Tanya and I, we're not getting younger, and we're like, you know what? We don't want to work 6 days a week. We've already done that. We are lucky enough in a time right now. All of our kids are adults and self-sufficient and doing well. And we're blessed in that way. And we thought, you know what? 3.5 days. That's all we want to do. And so in doing that and starting to cut away the calendar, we're like, okay, but we still want growth and we still want to scale. There'll never be a moment that we think, well, let's don't scale to the next level, because it's a journey. There's no destination to reach. We're never going to retire, because we just like to do what we do, because we get to work with so many wonderful people. But how are we going to accomplish a goal of stopping at Thursday at lunchtime and still, growing this company? And it forced us to really make those partnerships and collaborations that were super, super dialed in and valuable to both us and the people we were collaborating with.
And I know, Justin, I know you were about to speak, and I'm just cut you off again, but I wanted to say the reason we're talking so much and not actually interviewing the person that we brought on to interview is because we have done what he suggested. We're endorsing the crap out of it, right? We are now down to a 4-day work week, headed toward a 3.5, and the upstream model is the way we did it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say this. The reason why you're able to do that is because you got really clear on your brand.
Right? See, there you go. This is why we're a match made in heaven, Justin. Like,
that is true.
To say both are true. Both are true. We're very clear on who we help and how we help them and how it transforms their lives and how we're different, right? And the upstream model, we could find other people who were dialed in that way, or that we could help dial in that way before they became partners in your upstream model. But it works. It absolutely works. And it's the only way to get it done and do it efficiently.
And our next step is important here, Justin. Our next step is we're only going to collaborate with people who have been through our program. And the reason why is because it's one thing to endorse us because we're great people and we've got longevity in the business, and because of past clients people have sent us. It's something else when you actually have experienced it. And then you're like, oh my, then you're helping with a warm referral, not just based on a great reputation that we take very seriously, but also because you actually have been transformed by the process yourself.
Yeah, the clarity that people have walking out of your program gives them really the ability to identify, like you said, who do we serve? How do we serve them? And then it gets really easy to identify, okay, who's serving them like us, but just before us?
There you go. Yeah.
And then also looking at sending referrals the other way, of you're looking downstream to say, and who do we pass them to be sure that people continue to get this white glove experience? Like, what's the next concern that our clients are going to have after, for example, they've got their branding in place? Then what, right? Then you can start to look both upstream to say, who can feed me and who can I feed? And when you start to think like that, you as a professional, your value proposition becomes somewhat invincible, because the common professional is just working within the silo of their profession of how do I stand out at the listing agreement? How do I stand out at the closing table? And not much else beyond that, beyond maybe a little bit of marketing. But when you can say, I'm going to, number one, receive you from someone who took really good care of you, but then I'm going to perceive what you're going to need next and begin to make those introductions. Now, people do business with you not just because your experience between the bookends is better, but because you actually help connect people to the next solution that they're going to need.
So true. It is like a chain. It's like a beautiful chain, right? And we preach this. We're not changing at this point, right? Because we believe in it very strongly. Everything begins with the brand.
Mhm.
You've got to define your purpose, right? Your why, who you want to serve with that, all of those things we talked about. And once you do that, then you're better prepared to take that next step, whether it's working with somebody who will help you with your social media, working with somebody who's going to help coach you through your real estate life, like whatever that next step is, you're better prepared for it because you know that why. And you've got everything around that why developed and displayed properly so that we like to say 98% of people meet your brand before they meet you.
Mhm.
And so if they meet your brand first, how is that brand representing you? And once we do that, we have so many people that we could partner with to send, but we're very selective about that, as I imagine you are, about who we send them to next.
Mhm.
And you're definitely in that upper echelon.
For sure. And what a value add, right? If you're perceptive enough to say, I know what you need next. Like, I'm just telling you, like, after you do this, you're going to need this and this. And I've got the perfect partners to help you with that. It really is. And I know, especially in real estate and mortgage business, it's really hard for a lot of real estate agents. And I would guess this would be podcasters and authors and speakers and coaches too. What really is your value add? And you've got to be able to articulate that. The brand helps you do that. And then the Upstream model helps you do that. And you're doing what everybody knows at the basal level, right? You know, everybody knows under promise and over deliver, right? But I don't know that everybody knows exactly how to do that. And this model we're talking about does that for you. Because if you can say to them, hey, listen, you just closed your house, but next thing you're going to need is this and this and this and this. And I've got the perfect person I've been working with forever. And then they are, like you said, white glove that service next for that
So
person.
true.
Then they feel like they've really gotten something valuable, not just a hand holder, which in and of itself is sufficient, but we can't stand out and be sufficient.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, it becomes our value add to our client experience when we can pass them to the next great client experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a question that we have for you because, you know, in this world, I mean, disruptive and volatile these days would probably be an understatement in a lot of ways, right? But in the real estate world specifically, disruption is a big word. Like, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the industry right now and your advice on how to rise above all of that disruption.
Yeah, great. I think it's not a mystery to anybody that technology is getting really good at a faster and faster pace, right? I mean, in November, ChatGPT was rolled out. And I think for a lot of people, we all believed that the blue collar jobs would be the first to be replaced. And really quickly, we're realizing that there's a lot of white collar jobs that are on a choppy block and have already eliminated. So you take that kind of technology, which is really revolutionary, that really gives people the ability to have an outsourced, very intelligent, like the most intelligent person you could ever hire is now your assistant to be able to gather the best information out there and consolidate it into what's very actionable for you and the concerns you have at this time. And I don't want anybody to be fearful of that. It's like a horse running at you. And so long as you know how to ride it, it's going to get you further faster than you could ever imagine. But if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to get run over and you will be replaced. And I think big tech companies, they've got well-paid service professionals in their crosshairs, right? ChatGPT is a case in point, right? That tool passed with like an 88% correct rate, like the bar, like it passed like the legal bar, like it's an attorney essentially, right?
Right.
So when you think about like these giant tech behemoths are recognizing that there are really well-paid professionals out there that they can actually step in and replace what they do and or at least minimize what they do. And potentially, even if it's just compress the margins of what they do, you know, case in point, people who get leads from Zillow oftentimes will pay like the Zillow Flex plan will pay 35% right, to Zillow. And don't quote me on that, but it's somewhere you pay a large percent, like a referral to the tech company, while the broker continues to take on the liability of the brokerage, right? So even if you say like, hey, it's working, I'm getting leads, I think you'd be the first to admit that that comes out of my margin, right? Like that
Sure.
money is money that I would have liked to have had, but I'm happy for the lead, so I'll take it. So when you look at that broad landscape in real estate and other industries and say, okay, well, what's the future of this? Well, I believe that technology is going to get better and better. And we as professionals can either say, I'm going to learn how to embrace this and go much faster, and or get run over by it. Or I would say the last one is to, how do I rise above it so far that big tech can't write algorithms for what I do? And what I mean by that, part of that is leveraging technology, but it's also the Upstream model fits right into that equation. That's part of the reason why I wrote the book, is I saw this happening. I realized like there is a way actually to make yourself somewhat impenetrable to the arrows being shot by these big tech disruptors. And it adds such value, both through the connection with the client, which makes us uniquely human, which AI is going to have a really hard time doing that, but also by bringing in the value from other industries. So for example, can I give you a prime example? Michael, you talked about a financial advisor, right? Working closely with a real estate agent. Many times real estate agents will go out to a financial advisor and say, hey, oh, by the way, I'm never too busy for your referrals. Here's a stack of my cards. By the way, that doesn't work. That's not a good strategy. It seems cute and it seems nice, and it's probably worked really well with your friends, family, and clients. But for a new professional relationship, it's not designed. That phrase is not designed to do that.
Right.
And so it seems very one-sided of like, here, market for me. By the way, I'm not going to pay you, but I want you to be my marketing arm. Thanks so much. Here's a stack of my cards. Like that's essentially what you're asking, what you're saying. So the reason why many people have struggled implementing the Upstream model is that they go about it as if these people are their sphere, and they're not. They're professional strategic partners. And so the relationship needs to be much different. And we have a 5-step model that we teach that helps people to really unlock the power of these strategic referral partnerships. But the key is to come from contribution, right? To actually come not looking to get or to get a referral, but saying, how can I add value to this professional's business at such a level that they really want to be in business with me? And then how do I add value to their client experience at such a level that they can't help but want to introduce me to their clients? And I make it so easy for them to introduce me to their clients. Those are kind of the last 2 steps of the Upstream model. But the way to rise above these tech disruptors, back to your original question, is to integrate your value into the businesses of other professionals and do the same back for them. So for example, if I'm going on a listing appointment and all of a sudden, I'm not just talking about marketing a home, but I'm actually talking about insight that I learned from a financial advisor partner prior to walking into that meeting. And I have insight around the insurance space, which allows them to understand how this property is positioned differently because of the unique way in which you can insure this kind of property. Like all of a sudden you start bringing in data from these other industries that, by the way, are Upstream partners. And now all of a sudden you're much more valuable to that client than just like the next agent that's going to show up with their cards.
You're helping position them for success.
Yes, 100%. And vice versa. What happens, and this was a big revelation that we uncovered. I learned this initially when I was authoring the book. Financial advisors, on average, have about 18 opportunities a year to refer a real estate agent, but they refer almost none of them. It's like, why not? 18 deals, that could be 36 transaction sides. What is the hang up, right?
Right.
And there's a number of things that I learned in that process, but here's a way to get past that really quickly is number one, don't think of yourself of having past clients, because a financial advisor doesn't have past clients. They just have clients.
Yeah, right.
So if you can position yourself as, look, I continue to service my client long after any transaction because I serve them on an ongoing basis. I do an annual wealth review in which I give them the value and equity of their home every year. Like that's just one little tactic, right? That helps them to see you differently. But then if you're able to give that financial advisor, if you're able to give them this current market analysis, these CMAs prior to each one of their client meetings, what ends up happening is that they're able to talk about real estate in their annual wealth reviews with their clients. And now to their clients, they're much more valuable. And one big thing that comes from that is the next time those people go to buy or sell a property, they're going to check with their financial advisor first. And why that's magical is because there's a lot of money going back and forth when somebody buys a property, and that financial advisor would like to know about that. They'd like to not have one of their accounts drained to pay for a property in cash. They would like to know it when somebody sells a property and doesn't buy another one and they've got, $500,000 sitting in a checking account versus invested with them. Like this is big news to them. They want to have this. They want to know this, but they don't know how to make their clients think of them when they think of real estate because they're a financial advisor.
Right.
So we arm them and equip them with things to talk about during their client meetings, which causes the client to, number one, reach back out to them anytime they're thinking about real estate. And it's such a natural flow when they say, you know what, we're going to sell those couple of rental properties. We're tired of being a landlord. You've already done the work on what that property's worth prior to the meeting, right? You position yourself to add value to the client experience and made it so easy for that professional to say, well, here's somebody that I work closely with. I think you should at least have a conversation with them. Easy, done, right? As opposed to like, I'll give you a referral, you give me a referral, you go first, right? Which is often what happens.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Nothing happens, right? So
Right.
you actually integrate value into their client experience, which makes it flow seamlessly. So back to the original question, apologies, this is a super long answer, but it's like, how do you rise above tech disruption? It's you get a lot better, and you get better by pulling in key knowledge from other industries and teach them to do the same. Then the whole group rises above anything that tech can write an algorithm for.
Yeah, agree with it 1,000%. I tell my agents all the time, I'm like, when they call me and they're like, oh, this deal's falling apart because of this, 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 and this. And I'm like, this person agreed and then they went and used somebody else. And that. I'm like, the only insulation is to have so many deals that doesn't bother you.
Yeah.
And so go get more. And the upstream model is the way you get more. Whether you're a coach, a speaker, an author, a podcaster, a real estate agent, an insurance agent. I mean, this model works no matter what. A landscaper, it does not matter. This model works. And I want to encourage everybody to do that. We're going to tell you how to get in touch with Justin in just a minute. But Justin, I have one more question for you. Where is the best place that somebody could go and find out if they're doing it right with referring?
Yeah, I would encourage them to go to my website, thinkbiggerre.com. And here's why. On there, I have a link at the very top right-hand corner. You can't miss it. It's your referral score. And it's a diagnostic tool that I put together. It'll ask you like 10 questions. It'll probably take you a minute, maybe. It allows me to give you a score back and tell you how much money in commissions is sitting on the table waiting for you to go get, based on the questions from that. It's a quick diagnostic tool. It's a nice value add. So thinkbiggerre.com. In fact, even if you put /referral score, it'll take you straight to that quick questionnaire, and I'll be able to send you back your referral score with some tips on how to improve it and collect those commissions that are simply waiting for you.
I love it.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. What one piece of advice would you give people about personal branding?
Talk to you guys.
We like that advice.
We've got yet.
Woo!
I mean, I'm talking to like the Michael Jordan of branding. I mean, I need that. Like, no, I mean, you think about it, like,
I'm going to get a 23 on my shirt.
I love it.
But really, I mean, because there's so many people out there, right, who are saying it's like, you got to be on TikTok. No, you got to be on YouTube. No, you got to be on Instagram. And they're talking about brand yourself over here, but they haven't asked the question of who do I serve? Because that who is in different spots on the internet, right? They're in different places and they expect something different from you. So I see agents just chasing their tail from one thing to the next, which nobody's necessarily lying to them. Like, can you get big value from TikTok? Absolutely. Can you get it from YouTube? Absolutely. But you won't get it from anywhere if you go bounce from place to place to place, and if your message isn't consistent with the platform and with the audience on that platform. So starting with people can help extract them or extract from them, who is it that they're uniquely positioned to serve, and how, and what should that messaging be? Like, that's what you guys do. And that's where anybody should start any concept of marketing.
You're hired.
That's it. Best answer yet. Best answer yet.
Thank you so much, Justin.
Justin, thank you so much. You know, we could go on forever, especially because we get a chance to catch up every quarter or so if we're lucky. But we're so glad you're back on the program. You will be back on the program again to continue more about this conversation. Yet tell everybody the best way to reach out to you if they want to work with you.
You know, I would say there's a couple ways. If you prefer, like I said, the referral score, on that website, if you go through the referral score process, I'll be reaching out to you to give you your referral score. And at that point, we can engage in a conversation. If you're listening to this on social media, it's easier for you. My name is my hashtag on all the major social media. So just find me there, send me a direct message, tell me that you heard me on this podcast so that I can have some context as to kind of what you already know. Just happy to help. Like I said, I've got so many free resources that will help you just take the next step. I'm more than happy to do that. I have a number of other things that can help people that are more advanced and want to go all in on this topic.
Thank you.
Awesome.
It's been good to see you again, my friend.
Thank you.
Brought to you by BrandFace, the only comprehensive personal brand building system across the globe.